And welcome back. It's Ibrahim Qureshi here, and I'm going to go through the session 3 of vSphere 6.7 training. And today we are going to discuss the vSphere ESX 6.7 installation. So let's get started. I always want to do some recap so that we have good understanding, really. So who is this training for? Just for those of you who are joining me from this video, is for anyone who wants to learn virtualization. No IT background or experience is required, so there's no prerequisite. I have create this plan keeping basically non-IT users in mind and who are trying to learn IT to get into IT. So this is for you if you're trying to learn virtualization. So agenda, obviously, if you have seen the first session, then you'll see the agenda, what we are going through. But if you haven't, the agenda is now available on SlideShare, which is here. Nope, not here. Hang on. So SlideShare, as you can see, SlideShare allows you to share the slides. So you can see the agenda on slideshare.net, Ibrahim Qureshi, and there's quite a lot of topics we are covering, so it's all available here. And also all the videos I'm going through, you will also find them on my blog with this step-by-step guide on how to configure it. So link will be in the description. So what is the concepts which are completed so far? Session 1 we saw what is virtualization, overview of type 1 and type 2 hypervisors. Session 2 we covered what is cloud, we covered the service model as infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. And then we also covered briefly private and hybrid cloud. I do want to touch some of the aspects again, like obviously how actual public cloud works, like the provisioning model, the self-service portal and stuff. So we'll go through in detail in the later sessions. Now agenda for today is basically we are going through, as I said, we are going to download and we are going to take you from obviously basics anyway, but there is an important concept which I want to discuss before we dive into it, which is about shared storage. Now virtualization, if you are having hyperconverge or if you don't have hyperconverge, it doesn't matter. What matters is VMware works tightly with networks and shared storage, because all your VMs which we are going to provision are going to sit on shared storage. So I'm going to take you through that concept, and then we'll straight away dive into, logging into VMware, my VMware website, and I'll show you how to create an account and log in and download the vSphere, and then from there on we'll go through installation and obviously connecting to the ESX host using the web client directly, and how to connect it to the vCenter. So that's the topics for today. Okay, let's dive into concepts of shared storage. So as you know, hypervisor and storage concept is we are going to discuss now. So you have seen this part already, which is the hypervisor. So you have a bare metal server which has CPU, memory, hard disk, network cards. Now I have introduced a line here, which is the hypervisor is a very slim version of software. It's essentially a kernel, really. So it directly talks to the hardware of the server where it is installed on the physical server. So it communicates directly to the CPU and disk and network, of course the memory as well. So what shared storage is, basically on the server you may also have HBAs which will connect to the storage process on the storage array in your organization. Now all the virtual machines which you will be installing, because you will be leveraging other features from VMware, which is like high availability and distributed resource scheduler on storage side, so all these are going to require shared storage. So from a storage point of view, what we need to understand is the storage normally has two storage processes. Let's call it 1 and 2 storage process, and on your server you also have HBA 0 or 1 and 2 maybe. If one fails, the idea is you connect to the other one. If one storage process fails, you still have connectivity to your storage array. Now in the storage you have a collection of disks, which is hard disk, as you have here, hard disk, and these disks are presented in a logical unique number, which is called a LUN. Now in VMware world we call it a data store. That's the main concept. And all the storage which we will be adding in virtualization in the vCenter or even to the ESX host, you basically see it as a data store, but it basically is a LUN presented from the storage. So what do you have on the LUN? Of course, the virtual machines which are running here. So that's why I have shown you the virtual machines here. Okay, so that's basic concept really of storage, and it's very important to understand that. Okay, let's get started. So step 1 is downloading the vSphere hypervisor from the VMware website, and then for the purpose of demo we are going to install it on a nested ESX server, which is basically going to be on a virtual machine. So let me go back, and I've already logged in, but I guess my account has just... So basically what you do is let's start from the beginning. So if we just go to Google from the basics, right, and type download ESXi 6.7, and the first link you will find is download vSphere hypervisor ESXi. Now another important concept, hypervisor is nothing but an emulator of a physical server which you have. So that's why it's called a hypervisor. So what it does is it emulates the physical server, so the CPU, memory, which is a compute, and storage and network. So that is what an hypervisor is. That's why it's called hypervisor. So if you click on this, it will take you to the VMware website. Now if you haven't registered and this is the first time you're logging in on the VMware website, go ahead and register first. If you are having any problems before you begin, you watch this video which is called Before You Begin. It's a quick video which will basically show you how to do the installation, how to register with the VMware website.
VMware.
It will take you.
If you're an existing customer, go ahead and log in with your
so it will
username and
ask you to go and
password.
click register.
If you are a new customer, terms and conditions.
And you just need to go
and
through
when all of the required details is necessary
to register.
Once you have this completed, read through the terms.
Okay. I'm not going to register now, but you can do it on your leisure, and let's just log in. I already have an account created, so if I log in, you get 60 days to practice with your product. So after that it will you will be asked to put a license in there. So you get evaluation version from VMware for any VMware product for 60 days. So be it ESX hypervisor or the vCenter, so you get it for 60 days. So as you can see, you either do not have entitlement or do not have permissions to use these products. So what I have to do is I have to do download trial, and then it will take me to this page where I can try out an evaluation version. So I just need to log in again, and then I'll be able to download the project. So as I said, explore vSphere for free for 60 days. Yeah, and we can also see that it says log in to start your 60 days trial. So once you register, you will be able to download the package. Okay, so once you're here, you just enter the code and agree, and then you'll be able to download. and start your free trial. Okay, we just need to enter the captcha again. DH6. Just okay, as you can see here, I'm on the download page now, and I can click to start the download manually, and it's only a slim version, but it's a smaller, it's a very light package, so it's only 300 MB. Once it's downloaded, we can move it to a location where you want to put it, and then we can start doing the installations. So while it is downloading, let me log into my vCenter. So my vCenter is running on my local IP, which is 192.168.1.100. As I said in my presentation, we are going to do a nested ESX. So I'm going to go ahead and create a virtual machine to install this ESX server. So create a new virtual machine. Next, all this information is available on my blog. I will put the link in the description. You can check below on the description of this video and find that. So test ESXi 01, let's call it that. Okay, it already exists with that name. So ESX let's call it test ESXi 001. Next, because we are doing nested ESX setup, what we have to do is we have to enable a little feature within the VM, which will allow it to talk to the actual physical hardware. It will pass through the instructions from the ESX server running on my server to the physical server. Now it's saying 6.7 or later, which is fine, and this is the compatibility of the version of the hardware. Now over here, this is an important field. In the OS selection, I'm going to give other, and right at the bottom you'll find 6.5 or later. Select that and click next. By the way, VMware does not support officially installing nested ESX in your production environment, so this is only going to be for your lab. I'm going to customize some of the configuration of the server here, which is my ESX host really. So hard drive is 40 gig, which is enough, but I want it to be thin provision, so I only use the amount of disk I am actually using, not provisioning it ahead of the time. So, and again, memory, I want it to be 6 GB, and then CPU, I want to give 4 CPUs, and then expand the CPU and enable these two features. So expose hardware assisted virtualization to the guest. This is the feature you need to enable to allow your nested ESX to talk to the physical bare metal server, which will allow it to, which will allow you to install ESX servers on this nested ESX host. So that's the bit we need to remember. So if I say next, we are nearly done. We just need to go through what we have done. 40 gig, and it's having this network card. So this is the configuration of the virtual hardware which we have configured for this ESX host. By all means, if you have a physical server, a desktop or a laptop, old laptop which you have, you can use that if it is compatible with 6.7. and if it is not compatible with 6.7, install 6.5. it doesn't matter, it's the same concept. there's not a lot of features which has changed. You need to understand the technology. For that, I wouldn't even mind if you are able to if you're unable to do 6.5, you can install 6.0 as well, as long as you get a hypervisor on a physical server. If you have one, a physical desktop or an old laptop, and then just get it running in there, and then we can start practicing this at home. Finish, and then you will see the VM created. It's created and it says it's completed. So if you remember, the VM name is ESXi 001, which is here. I'm going to go ahead and power it on. My ISO which I was downloading is completed, so I'm just going to open the folder here. As you can see, it's down here. Just to keep things simple, I'm going to move it to a location. Let's cut it and move it to, why not, just here. Okay, so I have moved it to a location where I can basically easily access it. Now there are two things. On the, you can have the console open in two phases. I would suggest for installation you have installed the remote console. You can also launch the web console and install it via that, but you have to then edit the settings and add the ISO in there, which you can do as well. But just to keep things simple, I'm going to launch the remote console for now. Click open remote console. If you haven't installed it, you will have to install the remote console. So to do that, you just say install remote console. It will download an exe and you just install it. So I think the remote console is open now. As you can see, it's just down here. We need to mount the ISO now, which is in my YouTube folder, and just need to restart it. So installation will be quick and easy. All the installation which I'm going through now is available on website ibrahimqureshi.com. So let this CD first boot. It is quite simple installation. All you have to give is two parameters. You need to select where you are installing it, and first of all you need to accept the terms and conditions. For that you need to press F11, and then you need to accept the terms and condition. Once you accepted the terms and condition, then you will need to select a location where you are installing it, which is going to be the 40 GB virtual disk which you added to this, and then once you select the disk, it will ask you to enter a password, and then repeat a password, and then it goes off and does the installation for you. It's simple as that. And then once the installation is done, we'll go ahead and connect to the ESX server today and see how we can configure it. So if you have DHCP running in your environment, which is dynamic host configuration protocol, if your router allows you to get an IP, then it will boot up with the IP address. You can change the IP address to put it and configure as a static IP address, so that you get the server you don't get the server changing the IP quite often. So as you can see, it's nearly loading the setup. Here we are. It's asking us to press enter and F11 for the terms and conditions. I need to press function and F11 in my keyboard. There you go. Scanning hardware, and there we are. We can see the virtual disk which we have attached. It's 40 gig. It's more than enough. As I said, it's only a small installation, 300 MB, So 40 gig is more than enough. I have given 40 gig because I want to install an OS locally on this ESX server for demo. So what I'm going to do is click enter, select the language, keyboard layout, and then set a password, and make sure you remember that, because there's no way to retrieve the password. You will need to reinstall if you don't get the password right. Hang on, let me retype the password again. I'll start from the beginning. Okay, so make sure you have a special character and a number along with some alphabets. So that should be it. Set installation is about to start now. You need to press F11 again, and installation should be done pretty quickly. As you can see, it's flying over. It's nearly 70% done. Once the installation is completed, the ESX host will reboot. There you go, it's asking for the reboot. Just need to press enter. As it completes the reboot, we will find which IP address it has picked up from my DHCP server. Let's quickly go back to the slides till this server reboots. Okay, so we downloaded the vSphere for the purpose of demo. As I said, we installed the ESX server. Now we are going to do the step 3, which is IP address and configuring the IP address and basic networks, and then I'll show you how to connect to the ESX server directly using the web client. It's just using the web browser really, and then we'll finish off by adding it to the vCenter server. It's nearly done. As you can see, the configuration which we have given is 4 CPUs and 6 GB memory, which it has, and it has successfully boot. So I don't know whether you guys know, but if you click on a VM, your mouse cursor gets selected inside and you can't move it around. But to release the cursor, you need to press Ctrl and Alt, and then you can see the cursor again, and you click and then you're inside there. So to configure this, what we need to do is, I just want to show you this. There's some more details you can see at the bottom here. Let me expand it fully. Yeah, so you can see for configuring and customizing, you need to press F2, and for shutting down and restart, you need to press F12. So let's press F2. So it's asking for the root password. I hope I remember it. Yeah, once we are in, this is the configuration site. As you can see, there is a few options here. The one we are interested in is configure management network. At this point, it has detected that it has a network card, and it calls the network card VMNIC 0, which is on Ethernet 0. VLANs, obviously, as this is a flat network, I'm not going to do anything with that. Now we selected IPv4 for configuration. It has picked up this IP address 192.168.1.63 from a DHCP server. I'm going to change it from dynamic to static, and then I'm going to assign this server an IP. I don't mind it being 63 really. Maybe just set it to 60. The DHCP I have got is 192.168.1.1. Okay, so save that. DNS, it has already collected the DNS information and DNS suffix as well, but I would change that to maybe vlab.local. Once you are done, press escape to come out from the screen. It will ask you, it will prompt you want to keep these changes. You need to press yes. Another quick way to check the network the IP address which I have given is correct or not is to go to test management network and click enter. So it's able to go to the gateway and it's able to go to the DNS server. So it's failing on resolving hostname, which is fine because I don't have a DNS server running inside my lab. What we are going to do next is come out of this window. For doing that, as I said, Control and Alt, and I can see my mouse cursor again. So we are pretty much done with the installation, so I'm going to keep this aside. So step 3 is completed. I'll show you now how to connect the ESX server using the web client. Directly to this server we'll be connecting. So let's go to the browser. If you remember, we have given it the IP address 192.168.1.60. So because it's a self-signed certificate, you need to accept the risk and carry on, and then once you accept the risk, you are connecting to the ESX server directly now. Sure, I gave it right. Let's try it again. There you go. And this is a pop-up saying you want to join the VMware customer experience improvement. Why not? Okay, so this is your server. It's ready now. We could have changed the name of the server, which is done here. As you're logged in, you can just go there and change it in here. Instead of localhost, I can call it what I have built. Let's call it all lowercase test-ESXi-001 and save that. Not sure it'll change the name if I refresh it. Let's try that. Yeah, it has picked up the new name which I have given. It doesn't have any virtual machine running. It has seen the storage, which is 40 gig. It has provision 1.41 gig already, and 31 gig is free. So the next step in our agenda is to add vSphere ESX, which we have just built, to the vCenter server. So as I was saying, in the next session we can do some understanding, some theoretical understanding about the vCenter, different types of vCenter setup which we can have, It has PSC, so we can discuss what is PSC, what is SSO, and what is an embedded vCenter, vCenter with embedded PSC and external PSCs. So that's something for our next session. Now on this, before we finish this video, we'll do the last step, which is how to add vSphere vSphere ESX server to our vCenter server. So let's go back to our web browser. This is us connecting directly to the ESX host, as you can see from the web browser. I'll go back to my vCenter server, which is at 192.168.1.100. I have got a data center called SA Site A data center, and then compute cluster. This is a cluster. Cluster is a collection of ESX hosts. I have already got this host, which is 103 and 99 host, and .99 running here. We are going to add another host here. So we right click on the cluster. There are a number of places you can add it. Add the host. You can add the host on the data center level as well. As you can see, add host here, or you can add it on a cluster directly. Add host. The IP address 192.168.1.60. Next, the username root and the password which you have set up. Go ahead and accept the security warning. So as you can see, it has now picked up that this is the server and it is running VMware 6.7. This is the build number, which is the latest one which we picked up from the VMware website. Click next. It will ask you the licensing information. At this moment, as I said, the license expires in 60 days, so we are using a evaluation license. Just click next. Make sure you do not enable lockdown mode. Leave it as it is, disabled. Click next, and then it is saying that it has a data store and it has named the data store as data store 1. Now data store, as I was telling in the initial concepts of storage, is the disk which is presented to the ESX host or the vCenter server. Finish, and then you will see the server. As you can see, it's saying disconnected because it needs to be configured 90%, and it's connected here. There you go. That is how we add the ESX host. So if we click on the summary, we'll see CPU, we'll see the memory, which is 6 GB maximum, and the storage, which is total of 40 GB, but it is only going to see the remaining capacity, which is 32 GB at this moment. So that's how you download the hypervisor vSphere from VMware website and install it on your environment. This is a nested ESX server for the purpose of this demo, but you can install the same ESX server. All you have to do is download the ISO, burn it on a disk, and install it on a physical laptop or a physical machine. Now, just to give you an idea about my lab, I just want to quickly show you. I have already done a YouTube video on my lab previously. I have already done a video on my nested ESX lab, which I have running at home. I have done it on commodity hardware using Dell Optiplex. I'm just going to quickly add a link at the end of the video. If you are running nested, this is what you need to bear in mind. You need to log into the hypervisor and edit this file, user lib VMware, and basically the this is the value you need to add. Sorry, the file you need to edit is etc/vmware/config. In that you need to add vhv.allow is equals to double quote true and close a double quote. So this allows you to do nested ESX. That's how I was able to install my ESX server on a virtual machine. If you do not have this, then it will it will give you error messages. Okay, that's important thing to remember if you are trying to do nested and you run into error message when you are trying to install ESX on a VM. It's because you don't have a hardware pass through. So you need to have virtual hardware pass through, which is vhv.allow is equals to true in this file, which is etc/vmware/config. So you need to either SSH to your ESX host, the physical one, or go in to the console, enable bash, and then edit this file to be able to do that. I have already done that in a video which I'll add at the end, but I just want to quickly show you the benefits of nested lab and a little bit of overview of my lab which I'm using at this moment, as you saw. So this was my old lab. As you can see, it was a 22U cabinet, and I was using this HP DL8 380 for that G5. It was very noisy, a lot of energy was well, a lot of noise was generated for sure, and a lot of heat, so, and it was costing me a lot on the energy bills. So that is the one which was running as my ESX server previously. So I have switched to commodity desktop and I'm using this server, which is Dell Optiplex 7010. The configuration of this server is cost me around £400. So it has 32 GB memory. As you can see, I have 4 GB RAM modules, 4 of them, which is 32 GB, a 2 TB disk, and then I have disconnected the CD drive and I have added 100 GB SSD in there, and it's an Intel i7. It's quite old. Intel i7 is quite old, as you know, but it serves the purpose for doing all my work over here, so that's why I'm using that. So once it was installed, it was looking like this. So this is actually sitting in my living room without any monitor or anything. It's just connected to the network and we are connecting to it via the web browser. That's about it really. So let's get back to our session really. So we successfully completed the first ESX installation. Just to recap, we also discussed about shared storage concepts, which is you have your physical server, the hypervisor is emulating the physical server, so the virtual machine which you created is having the virtual CPU, virtual RAM, virtual hard drive. For the virtual machine and the guest operating system, it thinks it's a physical machine what it is connected to. It thinks the disk which is connected to the physical machine is a physical one, so it doesn't have any idea that it is actually running on a virtual environment. So from that point of view, everything is taken care by the hypervisor. The VM kernel communicates directly from the guest OS and translates all the instructions to the CPU and memory. So that's basically the VM kernel is responsible for all the interactions with the CPU, with the hard drive, the storage, the network, and the memory. Okay, so with that in mind, I think we have reached to the conclusion. I know the video has gone slightly over what I was anticipating, but again, we covered a lot of topics today, and I enjoyed making this video. If you have any questions, reach out to me at Ibrahim Qureshi on Twitter, and you can always check out my blog to go through how to do nested. It's at ibrahimqureshi.com. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and share it with your friends. And today's question of the day: can you tell me what is the name of ESXi kernel. So leave it on the comment below, and be sure to like and subscribe to my channels. Thanks. Bye.